Great pleasure to introduce Stephane Bazire. Yeah, got that. Head of Business Sustainability and Partnerships at Silverstone, to give us a little bit of an overview of his challenges and the ambitions that the venue has set for him.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, everybody, for joining this afternoon. So yes, I'm Stephane Bazire, Head of Business Sustainability at Silverstone. So obviously, I guess there is some motorsports fan in the room, probably F1 fans. So actually, I'm not a very motorsports fan at all. What motivates me, every day is how I can drive change in whatever organization, I join. So actually, last year, I got a phone call from Stuart Pringle, who is the managing director at Silverstone, telling me that Silverstone is trying to become the UK premier leisure and business destination within motorsports at its heart, okay, using collaboration, sustainability, and a fan-centered mentality to deliver first-class events, all right? So when he called me and I said, well, I need someone to lead that project, within Silverstone. Well, maybe I can wait a little bit. I haven't started yet. I'm just about. So please join. More people to come. Please have a seat. So the vision at Silverstone, again, no need to present Silverstone, home of British motorsports, host of the British Grand Prix, more than 400,000 people coming last July into the Grand Prix, and we're expecting more than 450,000 people to come next year. So F1 is definitely, pushing hard, helping us a lot in developing, but we want to make sure that now we put sustainability in the heart of everything that we do. So yes, I decided, to move away from Spain, where I've been living for like 16 years, join Silverstone last year to become that head of business sustainability and partnership. So we're shifting to zero. So what does it mean? Okay, I'll let you read a little bit, the text there. So we want to be a responsible organization. Obviously, we have a racing mentality. We want to accelerate changes, lead the pack, okay? And obviously, we align with Formula One and their efforts to be net zero by 2030. We also support the UK government to become net zero by 2050. But we also have our own agenda. So the first thing that you try to do when you want to become one of the most sustainable racetrack in the world, you need to commit, okay? So as I said, I've been contacted by the managing director of Silverstone, a year and a half ago to take that position, which was not, created before. So that means that at least if you've got your top management fully committed, that's a big step. But then, you need obviously to do other commitments. So we've joined BASIS, the British Association of Sustainability in Sports, last year. We also made the process to become 2-star environmental accredited by the FIA, International Automobilism Federation. We've also aligned with the FIM, which is the Motorcycle International Federation's Environmental Code. We've signed the Net Zero Carbon Events Initiative during COP26 last year in Glasgow. We've signed the UNFCCC Sport for Climate Action just this year and before the Grand Prix. And we've realized that we've aligned with 9 of the 17 UN Sustainable Development Goals. So we've built a strategy around those different pillars that you will see in a moment. So it's a 10-year business strategy where we want to accelerate sustainability in motorsports and become a platform for innovation. We obviously want to create a new venue. We need to modernize the venue, all right? So it does require a bit of investment. And we want to make sure that we diversify our business and not being seen as just, a 1 weekend per year venue, all right? We actually are 365 days operations, organizations. I think actually the only day that we don't work is on Christmas Day, all right? So we've based our strategy on 3 pillars: innovation, community, and experience. Innovation, all right? Energy. Energy is a big concern for every venue. It is for us, and I will go back to that in a moment. Low emissions, we want to make sure that whatever we operate at Silverstone, we try to do it with the less impact as we can from a carbon footprint point of view. And we want to be seen as a solution platform, data-driven. I will go back into that in a moment. Community, we want to place people in the center of all the decisions that we take, all right? Obviously, Silverstone, we don't know, if Silverstone Village, carries, Silverstone names or vice versa, all right? But we are obviously, totally integrated within that local community. So we have a responsibility with all our ecosystem around us. Education is key, engagement, inclusion, and then, obviously, as a venue, it's all about experience, the type of events that we organize. So we want to be more than just motorsports. We want to be very, as I said before, fan-centric and get, maximum fan satisfaction. And obviously, we need to start doing another way of procuring every equipment, goods, services, that we get at Silverstone on a sustainable way. Obviously, below, you see the different, SDG that I've talked about, the different, sustainable development goals with whom we align. So that's a bit the time frame, the timeline of our innovation pillar, but I will get into details, now. As I talked about before, energy is a big issue. At the moment, with the energy crisis that we're living in, for the coming 25 years, if we keep consuming almost 9 gigawatt-hour of electricity per year at Silverstone, we're going to spend in the coming 25 years more than 100 million pounds. So obviously, when you think about it, you said, oh, maybe I should, start putting some solar panels, on top of our buildings, to make sure that we reduce our consumption, from the grid. So we've started installing on top of the wing, which is our biggest, building, our exhibition center, actually. We are covering with almost, 5,000, we put actually a bit more than those, 2,764 solar panels on top. We will end up generating almost 13% of our electricity consumption, but we'll actually probably get into a second phase with covering more buildings with solar panels and hopefully getting to 25% of our energy being self-generated on site. We will switch to 100% renewable energy coming from the grid from April 23. We will install EV chargers for various reasons, because obviously we've got lots of visitors now coming, obviously with EV cars, but we also have our staff coming with electric vehicles. We also have our fleet, with little by little, we'll end up also using electric vehicle. So it's obviously, very important that we start having EV chargers, but also from a business point of view, sometimes when we got a phone call from a potential client saying, oh, do you have EV chargers on site? Are you powered by 100% renewable energy? Well, actually, not yet. Well, actually, we would not organize our event in your venue. So it's very important, for us to have this kind of infrastructure in place to be sure that we can welcome any promoter, event organizer that wants to organize in our venue a sustainable events. You can imagine with a 500 acres facility, it's not easy to have an electric socket at every corner of the venue. So especially when you host the British Grand Prix with more than 400,000 people coming, we need to use generators. But by 2022, we've decided to use generators that are being powered by HVO, which is biofuel, basically, which reduce by 90% all our carbon footprint related to, generators emissions. So I've talked about the low emission fleet. So we want to be 100% low or zero emission fleet by 2030. We will start changing in 2023 with 25% of our fleet becoming low or zero emission. We want to be a solution platform. As I said before, we want to make sure that we showcase best practice in sustainability innovations. And you cannot do that if you're not data-driven, okay? It's very important that whatever you start doing, when you get into that sustainability journey, you need to start measuring. If you don't measure your carbon footprint, obviously you don't know what are the bases that you're talking about, and what kind of improvement you should do having that baseline. So we've started in 2021 measuring our carbon footprint. We're doing it, right now in 2022, so we should have the report early next year, because that will help us in defining what is our decarbonization roadmap, all right? And also having that power audit that we're running also at the moment, we will be able, to really know, okay, what sort of investment that we need to do to reach, that zero target that we've established for 2030. We will have a new energy management system, a new building management system, which make our venue a better and smarter venue. You cannot do that on your own. You need to bring partners on board. It's very important. That's why in my title you see business, sustainability, and partnership. And we want to make sure that any new partners, or any brand or any supplier looking at working with us, support our efforts, to net zero, all right? It's very important that you have all your supply chain, all your different partners helping you in getting into that objective. So this is, some of our partners that are helping us in that journey, and we're hoping, to attract more in the future. Community, as I said before, we want to put people in the center of all our decisions. So what do? Local responsibility. We want to make sure that our secret facilities are accessible for our local community group. We have a ticket scheme, that allow, local people, to come to Silverstone. You can imagine that when you almost have 60,000 cars coming over a weekend at Silverstone, you may have some traffic issues. So traffic management is very, very important. We are working a lot with different partners to reduce that amount of cars. One of the big things that we're trying to do is to convert, and I will talk about it in a moment, our British Grand Prix in a 4-day festival where people, instead of coming every day and commuting from wherever they're coming, they actually stay on site, okay, during those 4 days. And obviously we're having rail and ride, sorry. So having more and more shuttles, in between different points around the circuit to make sure that we cut down, and bring solution to our traffic management. Noise management, sometimes it's an issue at the moment with petrol cars, maybe less noise issue in the future with more electric vehicle. We offer, space, and we support local charity, and obviously we support local business growth. You can imagine that having so many people coming over to our events has a pretty big impact, on the local community from a business point of view. Reducing food waste is a big, big, big thing for us. So we've established a partnership with ToFood, based in Towcester, 5 miles away, from Silverstone. And every time that we have any food surplus, and not only during the British Grand Prix or the MotoGP or any other events that we do, but also on a day-to-day basis, anything left over that we can, give away, we call ToFood and they come and pick it up, and they're only 10 minutes away. So we've almost collected or helped ToFood collected almost 10 tons of food, this year. Is it good or bad, to have so many, food left over? That's another question, but at least we make sure that whatever is left over, someone or some other people, can use them. Engagement, this is key. I've talked about, the partners before. You need to engage not only your partners, but all your stakeholders. And you have to start, obviously, with the staff, all right? And we're lucky. We're doing fairly well. Okay, we had to make lots of people redundant during COVID, but we've recovered, and in 2 years, we've actually doubled the number of people working at Silverstone. We're now passing from 105 to 210, all right, which is pretty amazing. We try to foster diversity, equity, and inclusion in our working culture, very important. We mobilize more than 10,000 people. A British Grand Prix has more than 10,000 people working for that event, all right? Pretty amazing. So how do you teach, or educate those people, how do you transmit that sustainability attitude that we're trying to have? This is, what we're trying to do. So we train our volunteers, what we call the race makers, to become our green champions. Those 500 people are the direct contact people with our visitors coming to Silverstone. So if they do know about our sustainability initiative, okay, that would be a great way to engage our visitors to also participate in making those initiatives the most efficient we can. We have a Green Champions Committee inside our organization. We will organize in a couple of weeks our first engagement day with our key stakeholders, and we'll talk about, obviously, sustainability and other policy that we're putting in place, for the coming year. And we ensure that accessibility is provided to all our physical and digital environments. Education, as I said before, is key. And we have at Silverstone a college called the UTC. We have a partnership with Northampton University, with Milton Keynes College, with actually we give some student training experience for them to become future professional within the catering industry. And we have the BRDC Superstar program. I don't know if you know, but Silverstone Circuit is owned by the BRDC, British Racing Drivers Club, which is a non-for-profit organization. And we have that Superstar program that is trying, to, train, develop, the young British drivers of the future. Experience, that's the third pillar, innovation, community, experience. We want to be more than motorsports. We want to focus on fan satisfaction and obviously on sustainable sourcing. More than motorsports. We actually just opened a month ago a Hilton Garden Inn hotel with 197 bedrooms. Until now, we didn't have any accommodation on site, so now we have, which will help us in supporting a lot our MICE business, meeting incentive, convention and exhibition, as you know. So to make sure that actually we can host events all year long at Silverstone in that big building, which is called the Wing, which has those solar panels on top now, which is actually the biggest exhibition center between London and Birmingham. All right, so now you know, next time that you want to organize an event at Silverstone, well, you can do it over there, and you can actually have your guests staying at the Hilton. We also are developing another project called Escapade, which is 60 residents. Some of them, will have direct, track view. And those residents, which has between 2 to 4 bedrooms, will also give us more options for accommodations to our guests. So yes, more than motorsports, we want to be a 364 days business. We are recycling. Yes, I'm saying yes, because actually when I arrived in 2021, we were not recycling much. So nothing was going to landfill since 2018, which is already really good. But we actually, from 2022 doing much better. We've decided to segregate plastic bottles and cans. We've invested in more than 1,400, bins to be displayed all around the site. We are already 100% disposable items, which are plant-based. And we want to make sure by 2026, 100% of our waste will be either reduced, reused, recycled, or composted. And I think that before 2030, we'll have that zero food policy in place. Fan satisfaction, super important, as I said. Actually, over the last 2 years or 3 years, we've reached, more than 98% customer satisfaction during the British Grand Prix, which is a pretty good score, all right? Can we reach, 100? That's what we're trying to do. So we've installed water stations all across the site to make sure that people can refill their water bottles. We've increased our vegan and plant-based food options. We try to deliver a world-class event spectacle. As I said before, we want to convert, especially the British Grand Prix, as a 4 days festival. We are realizing that, more than 65% of the people that have booked tickets for next year's Grand Prix are people that have never come to a Grand Prix before. They're younger, more and more women, coming. Probably, the Netflix effect. But now the people that wants to come to Silverstone for the Grand Prix, they want to have a lifestyle experience. Okay, it goes beyond what happened, on the track. And this is what we're trying, to do. World-class event spectacle with lots of music. Stay tuned. You may have a surprise this year about music. Camping and accommodation. Almost 50,000 people, sleep either on site. We've got glamping, camping, and obviously lots of Airbnb or bed and breakfast, all around the circuit, so more than 50K people, staying on site or around the site. And we're trying to work with level playing field to deliver an exceptional accessibility experience to all kind of visitors. So sustainable sourcing, here you see, the app that we are developing. We want to be paperless. We want to make sure that, paper disappeared, from all our desks, but also, from every visitors. So everything, will become digital. And from a sustainability sourcing point of view, as I said before, we're working on a new procurement policy that makes sure that sustainability has a big criteria when it comes to choosing who is working with us. What do we have now? I think we have a little video. Let's see. Little summary of our shifting to zero strategy. Some images of all the different initiatives that we started putting in place during the British Grand Prix. And that's it. I just wanted to say we have us, UK leaders, a big responsibility. Okay? If we want to really make a change, okay, we need to shift to zero. So I invite you, to follow us, work with us, and hopefully we can really drive change. Thanks a lot.